ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। शृण्वतं स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृदयन्तस्थ हेवादानि विधुनोति सुधिस्सतम्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भगवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भावति नैष्टिकी। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुलङ्घयते गिरिं यत्किपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरं परमानन्दमाधवम्। Krishna everyone, thanks for joining. So today's chapter, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 23, and verse 4 and 5. This chapter is called the Maharaj Prithu's Going Back Home. Text 4. Tattapi abhavaya nijayamo vaikanasa susammate arabdha urgatapasi yathaso vijaye pura tatrapi yadabhyo niyamo vaikanasa susammate आरब्धशुर्ग तपसि यथासो विजये पुरा. Translation by the Venkateswara Prabhupada, Prabhupada ki Jai. After retiring from family life, Maharaj Shrutu strictly followed the regulations of retired life and underwent severe austerities in the forest. He engaged in these activities as seriously as he had formerly engaged in leading the government and conquering everyone. Purport: as it is necessary for one to become very active in family life, similarly, after retirement from family life, it is necessary to control the mind and senses. This is possible when one engages himself fully in devotional service of the Lord. Actually, the whole purpose of the Vedic system, the Vedic social order, is to enable one to ultimately return home back to Godhead. The Grihastha ashram is a sort of concession combining sense gratification with a regulative life. It is to enable one to easily retire in the middle of life and engage fully in austerities in order to transcend material sense gratification once and for all. Therefore, in manifest stage of life, tapasya or austerity is strongly recommended. Maharaj Prithu followed exactly all the rules of manifest life, which is technically known as Vaikhanasa Ashram. The word Vaikhanasa Susamate is significant because in Banavasta life, the regulative principles are also to be strictly followed. In other words, Maharaj Prithu was an ideal character in every sphere of life. Mahajana gatasya pantha, gataha sa pantha. One should follow in footsteps of great personalities. Thus, by following the exemplary character of Maharaj Prithu, one can become perfect in all respects while living this life or while retiring from active life. Thus, after giving up this body, one can become liberated and go back to Godhead. Text 5. कन्दमूलफलाहारः शुष्क शुष्कपर्णासनः क्वचित् अभक्षः कतिचित् पक्षान् वायुभक्ष ततः परम्. Translation. In the Tapavana, Maharaj Prithu sometimes ate the trunks and roots of trees. Sometimes he ate fruits and dried leaves, and for some weeks He drank only water. Finally, he lived simply by breathing air. Purport: in Bhagavad Gita, yogis are advised to go to the secular place in the forest and live alone in a sanctified spot there. By Pruthumara's behavior, we can understand that when he went to the forest, he did not eat any cooked food sent from the city by some devotees or disciples. As soon as one takes a vow to live in the forest, he must simply eat roots, tree trunks, fruits, dry leaves, or whatever nature provides in that way. Pruthumara strictly adopted these principles for living in the forest, and sometimes he ate nothing but dried leaves and drank nothing but a little water. Sometimes he lived on nothing but air, and sometimes he ate some fruits from the trees. In this way, he lived in the forest and underwent severe austerity, especially in regards to eating. In other words, overeating is not at all recommended for one who wants to progress in spiritual life. Sri Rupa Goswami also warns that too much eating and too much endeavor, atyahara prayasasya, are against the principle by which one can advance in spiritual life. It is also notable that according to Vedic injunctions, to live in the forest is to live in the mode of complete goodness, in the mode of complete goodness. Whereas to live in the city is to live in the mode of in the mode of passion, and to live in brothel or sorry, and to live in a brothel or drinking house is to live in the mode of ignorance. However, to live in a temple is to live in Vaikuntha, which is transcendental to all modes of matter nature. This Krishna consciousness movement offers one the opportunity to live in the temple of the Lord, which is as good as Vaikuntha. Consequently, a Krishna conscious person doesn't need to go to forest and artificially try to imitate Maharaj Prithu or the great sages and munis who used to live in the forest. Srila Rupa Goswami, after retiring from his minister's seat in the government, went to Vrindavan and lived beneath a tree, like Maharaj Prithu. Since then, many people have gone to Vrindavan to imitate Rupa Goswami's behavior instead of advancing in spiritual life. Many have fallen into material habits and even in Vrindavan have become victims of illicit sex, gambling, and intoxication. The Krishna consciousness movement has been introduced in Western countries, but it is not possible for Westerners to go to the forest and practice the severe austerities, which were ideally practiced by Prithu Maharaj or Rupa Goswami. However, Westerners or anyone else can follow in the footsteps of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur by living in a temple which is transcendental to the residents in a forest, which is transcendental to residents in a forest, and to vow to accept Krishna Prasad and nothing else. Follow the regulative principle and chant 16 lines daily of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. In this way, one's spiritual life will never be disturbed. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prabhupada Smate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tidamida Namasa Sarasvati Gauravanka Jayanta Vijay Sunnavadi Pasarya Sakni Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Siva Sadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna everyone. Thanks for joining and giving me the opportunity to speak in this works of Bhartoswan Bhagavatam. We are talking about Prithu Maharaj going back home, back to Godhead. So as you know, Prithu Maharaj is the Saktyaves avatar of Lord Vishnu. So in this chapter, we will get to know like Maharaj Prithu goes to the forest and then performs severe austerities. Maharaj Prithu engages completely in devotional service. And then Prithu Maharaj gives up his material body. And then Prithu Maharaj released from all designations. Queen Archie, you know, the wife of Prithu Maharaj, follows the king into the forest. Queen Archie prepares a funeral prayers. The wives of the demigods glorify Queen Archie, and then Queen Archie reaches the planet of her husband, and benefits of hearing the narration of Maharaj Prithu, and even pure devotees must hear about Maharaj Prithu. So these are the things we are going to learn in this chapter. So, anyways, so after returning from family life, Maharaj Prithu strictly followed the regulations of retired life and underwent severe austerities in the forest. And then what he did in the forest, in Tapovan, Maharaj Prithu sometimes ate the trunks and the roots of trees, sometimes he ate fruits and dried leaves, and for some weeks he drank only water, finally lived simply by breathing air. So there are different categories of Lord's Avatar, like Purush Avatar, Lila Avatar, Yuga Avatar, Sakyavasa Avatar, etc. Right? So King Prithu is a partial incarnation of Lord Vishnu, Sakyavasa Avatar. So and then so if you know a little bit more about this Avatar, so like for example, we say Sesa, Lord Sesnag, right, in the Vaikuntha planet. So he's a seven Shakti avatar, the incarnation of service attitude, right? The Ananta is known as Bhudharana Shakti, carried the burden of universe. That's the avatar also. Lord Brahma is the Guna avatar, right? He is the Srushti Shakti avatar, incarnation of creative energy. And then the four Kumaras, Chatus Kumaras, who are they? The incarnation of the what's called the Jnana Shakti avatar, right? So they are the incarnation of Vishnu only. So incarnation of energy of knowledge. Then same as Narada Muni. Narada Muni known as Bhakti Avatar, the Bhakti Shakti Avatar, Avatar of devotional service. Similarly, Maharaj Putri is the what is called, he is the Palan Shakti Avatar or Prajapalana Shakti, and energy of the maintenance of citizens, of Lord, the Supreme Lord. Okay, anyways, so as the emperor of Prithvimaraj, he asked all the netizens to chant and glorify the Lord and always engaged in his devotional service. It is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, if a king or a minister only collect the taxes from the netizens or the citizens of that particular kingdom and do not give transcendental knowledge, the king will go to hell. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, very elaborately describes the planetary system and hell is planet 2. Like we see how juice are being extracted from the sugar cane, the similar way, if the king only collect taxes and does not engage the netizens in the devotional service of the Lord or does not benefit anything for the netizens, only he collect the taxes. So then in the Yamalok, so he will be have to be, like grinded like to extract the juices like the way the sugar cane juice are being made. Similar way. That's the punishment he has to get in the uh, Hellish planet by Yamraj. So, so same way, the king and minister will follow the same punishment with severe punishment, right? So we should remember that if you if do, if the king do not work as per scripture, then the king or anyone in the position in the minister or any kind of leader will have to suffer the karmic reactions, right? So the Canto 5 describe various hellish states like Narak planets and the punishment experienced there for those who have committed sinful actions in their lifetime. These punishments are a result of laws of karma, which where individuals face consequences for their actions, both in this life and the next. So, Prithu Maharaj addressed all the netizens to glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He also addressed that without glorification of the Lord, there will be no happiness in this life or next. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna said that all living bodies subsist on food grains which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performance of a yajna, the sacrifice, and the yajna is born of prescribed duties. Prithu Maharaj gave transcendental knowledge, Prithu Maharaj get transcendental knowledge from the four Kumaras, and he that time he was the emperor during the regime of Satya Yuga, and he ruled many thousands of years. After this, he retired from family life and went to jungle with his wife for performing the austerities. In previous chapter, Prithu Maharaj said to saintly person, what should I offer to you? I don't have anything. So I am surrendering everything, my family and all the treasures at your lotus feet. So he was so exalted in terms of compassion as well as in terms of giving charity to the friendly persons. When he left his kingdom and on the way to jungle, the netizens were morose as they could not bear the pain of separation from the king who was like a father to the netizens. Rutumara's kingdom was similar to Lord Ram, is known as Ramarajya. When Lord Ram was ruling the kingdom, he was treating all the prajas, the netizens, like his own child. Similarly, Prithumara's maintaining the netizens like a father or mother. The society is divided into four ashrams, starting with Brahmachari, Grihastha, Banaprastha, and Sannyas. Prithumaras was in Grihastha ashram and now he is coming to jungle for Banaprastha ashram. He came to Tapovan for tapasya. What he was eating? So, as you know, Putumara was ate some trunks and the roots of trees. Sometimes he ate fruits, dry leaves, like that, right? And for some weeks he drank only water, right? So finally, he lived simply by breathing air. Prabhupada used to tell in previous time, people used to, like it. Prabhupada used in the lecture, Prabhupada said, in previous life, sorry, not in previous years, like, many thousands of years, it is said that even during the time of Dwapar Yuga, so people used to follow the four ashrams very strictly. Uh, in Vrindavan, the Goswamis, the Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, and he used to sleep underneath a tree. So, if you go to today's Vrindavan, you will not find such forest in Vrindavan. Today, in the society, people are cutting the forest and making high-rise buildings. It is also said that uh, you know, that's what happened. And in connection to that, it is also said that Vasudeva and Devaki, in their previous birth, as Sutapa and Prishni, underwent a severe type of austerity penance in the jungle to please the Lord and have the Lord as their son, right? And as a result of such austerities, the Lord appeared as their son, right? So the Lord appeared three times to Sutapa and Pushni. The one is known as the past incarnation of is known as Pushni Garva. The second is Vamanavatar, and third one is the Lord Krishna. Right? Anyways, so so it is mentioned that Puthumaras engaged in his activities as seriously as he had formerly engaged in leading the government and conquering everyone. After going to jungle, he performed severe austerities, even in greater motivation than earlier. Why he was performing austerities in jungle? Because to constantly think about the Lord. Bhagavan ka, like he was to think about the Lord continuously, constantly, right? So one should perform the austerities prescribed in the Vedic scriptures, appropriate for one stage in life. The daily duties like praying, meditating, and worshipping are being referred to by Lord Krishna. Action is superior to inaction, for by after for by for one acts. I'm sorry. So action is superior to inaction, for by abstention from action, none of the activities can be accomplished. What to say of those? If one fails to take action, even the maintenance of their physical body will not be possible. So, so one may ask that. So one may ask that should we go to jungle? After our grihastha life. So Prabhupada said it is not required, as he mentioned that the temple are like the Vaikuntha planet. Devotees living in the temple are living in the Vaikuntha Dham. Prahlad Maharaj said, "My Lord, I do not want to go to jungle or any secular place to perform austerities, but I'll prefer to rather stay in a society so that I can please the Krishna consciousness, so that I can be instrument to deliver the fallen soul." That's the Prahlad Maharaj's prayer to Nrsimhadev. So the devotee didn't want to go to jungle to The devotee do not want to go to jungle, in a secular place for his own benefit, but he always think about the benefit of the others, right? So in a previous time, saintly person used to go to jungle, but in Kali Yuga, we should perform the devotional service in society. A devotee from Kenya, Prabhupada gave an exam, I had a lecture. So a devotee from Kenya came to Srila Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, I want to be like, Haridas Thakur, the way he was chanting, I want to chant like this, but I need a secular place. But he was very bona fide devotee, very new to ISKCON. Prabhupada tried to convince him, no, you should stay in the temple and start focusing on bhakti, chanting the holy names and, then chanting with the devotees, congregation chanting. So, but he said, no, I want to be, he was, I don't know, somehow he got some different idea. So he said, I want to live in secular place. But anyways, Srila Prabhupada sent a letter to Mayapur authorities. Can you please arrange a secular place for this Prabhu so that he want to do his bhajan? So, anyways, in Mayapur, he went to Mayapur, and there he, that time in very long during time of Prabhupada, he was giving a kind of secular place, kind of small houses he was living. He lived there and do bhajan for some time, like 1 week, and then after he disappeared. No one knows where he went. So it's that says that in this age of Kali, it's very difficult to imitate some to imitate in higher personalities. Like you want to imitate the Haridas Thakur, so it's very difficult. So, anyways, so that's why Prabhupada. So Prabhupada said, eat only Krishna prasadam and nothing else, and chant Hare Krishna and be happy, and your life will be successful. So in the purport, Prabhupada quote a verse from Letter of Instruction. Atyahara prayasasya prajalpo niyamangaha janasangasya laulyam cha sadhir bhaktir vinasyati. So these are the six. So one's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in following activities, like eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required and over endeavoring, right? And then talking unnecessarily and practicing the scriptural rules and regulation only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, and associated with the worldly minded peoples, and then being greedy for mundane achievement. So these are the things which will be deviate us from the devotional service, right? To summarize what we discussed with this, so we think about this was emphasized the importance of retiring a suitable time and dedicating oneself to spiritual practice to transcend the material desires. Maharaj Prithu, following the Vedic principle, retired with his wife, both of whom then jointly performed austerities for liberation, as it is necessary for one to become very active in family life. Similarly, after retirement, from family life, it is necessary to control the mind and senses. This is possible when one engages himself fully in devotional service of the Lord. And then, so the purpose is that these extreme austerities were undertaken to control his words, senses, and the life here, and to gain complete control over his bodily function. That's why the Pruthamaras performed austerities. And so then Pruthamaras followed the regulations of retired life, Banaprastha. And this stage of life is designed to help one transcend the material attachment and ultimately return to the spiritual realm. So, so that's what all about in this chapter, in this verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So I'll stop here.